Please explain this one to me. This old Ram is somehow more expensive than the new Rams. Like, how does that make sense? We'll try to figure out in today's video. I'll include a link to the Ram and Sandy's website in the description down below. Also include a link to my card buying guide. Let's get right into it. Powering this is the 3.6 liter Pentastar V6 that has 305 horsepower, 269 pound-feet of torque. Goes through an 8-speed automatic, and also, look how much space there is in the engine bay. You don't see this in modern cars very often because usually they cram everything in, but like, yeah, this was made for a V8 engine bay wise, but the V6, yeah, lots of space. I'm trying to hit 500,000 subscribers before the end of the year. I'd really appreciate it if you'd help out with that. So yeah, this is the old body style. You've got the old style of headlights. You can see the bumper with the fog lights here. On this, you got recovery points. Even the little license plate cover looks kind of faded with time. But anywho, the old body style is not bad looking. It's just the old body style. And actually, it's very important to note that we are now on the second iteration of the new body style. They just released for the 25 model year the kind of like refreshed version of the 5th gen. Anywho, we do have these all-terrain tires wrapped around these 17-inch wheels. Remember when 17-inch wheels were common? Now everyone's got like 20s, basically. We also have these pretty beefy fender flares, and then of course our Ram Classic badge. And this is the configuration that many people really like. Smaller cab, longer bed. Now the bed itself doesn't have bed liner, LED lights, or really anything. It's just a bed. I do like this generation's taillight design. I think it just aged very well. Blacked out badges here in the back. We also have parking sensors on the bumper. Again, this is the Warlock package, so it's kind of like a parts bin truck. So funny enough, it actually has the interior from the new Bighorn in terms of these seats. So these are not the seats that were available with the 4th gen originally. And yeah, not a lot of legroom with this particular cab, but you can at least still pick up the seat for more storage underneath, which is a plus. I like how the door handles are nicely painted. Anyways, you do have keyless entry for up front. And look at those mirrors. This has the old flip up. Remember when you used to flip up the mirrors and also do it yourself? Man, that's a throwback. Also, automatic windows for the front too, and then payload on this truck. It's one of the weakness of the, well, not too bad, 1542. Again, cloth front seat, manually adjustable as well. And let's start her up. Boom. More basic trim around the steering wheel, and this actually has the gear limiter function. You guys remember that being on the old Rams a little bit. Cruise control, and then you can see the voice command controls. Again, it's got the old school style buttons. Isn't this refreshing to see an analog gauge cluster with some nice gauges? I kind of miss this quite a bit in the modern vehicles. Just a backup camera in reverse. And then, yeah, smaller infotainment system. It does have touchscreen functionality, but yeah, everything's kind of miniaturized. Now, I will say, the new dial shifter is a little bit slicker. I kind of miss the sound and actuation of the older one. I don't know, it has a nice tactile sound and feel to it. And then this is just a part-time four-wheel drive system with this one, by the way. Now, this truck does have single zone climate. You also have trailer brake controls from the factory, tow haul mode, all of that. And then this is a bench seat configuration, so you got a little bit of storage up top. Actually, move this out. You can pick this up to be a seat, and then there's more. Well, actually, no, this one doesn't have storage on the bottom, so no storage on the bottom seat, but it does have the double glove box set up. So anywho, this truck stickers for about $52,000. And there's only about $2,000 of discount on the truck, and so you could literally buy a 2025, so 1 year newer than this Classic, in the new body style with the refreshed version, with the Hurricane, after discounts for less money. Let's drive this and try to figure out what's going on. Well, let's set off in the Warlock. Low fuel. We'll be fine. Hopefully. Hopefully. This is kind of funny, isn't it? You can get, like I said, you can get more discount on a new 25 than this 24 that's the Classic. Now, part of that, from my understanding, is this is a lease truck where the real value with this is in leasing it. That's where you can get, you know, they have a lease deal with these where the payment's pretty darn low. And so I think that explains a big chunk of why this is more expensive from a purchase standpoint, is they've put all the incentives into leasing and none of them into purchasing. It's like, if you're gonna buy one of these outright, we're not really gonna give you a discount. But if you want to lease one, yeah, we'll give you a great deal. And I don't know what I can't remember what the payment is, but I remember it was low. It was like in the 200s before taxes and stuff. And so for a full-size pickup truck, not too bad. But that aside, I mean, the MSRP on this is still not cheap. 52 grand for the old body style. And that is kind of funky. But at the same time, older vehicles in certain ways were, although they had less tech, were not necessarily cheaper to build. Because with a lot of these older vehicles, they kind of use more premium materials. And so with some of those more premium materials, it ends up increasing the cost of production. So then you, like, I hear from people all the time, they're like, I want a 2000s car, right? You know, something from 2000 to 2010, but brand new. And the fact of the matter is, if an automaker built that, it wouldn't be cheap. And I think a really good example of that is the Ineos Grenadier. I did a 1-year test on one of those. That is basically a 2000s car brand new, because what they've done is they've taken body on frame, solid axles, an old school setup, and it has some tech. Like, it has a backup camera, but it's pretty basic, like no power seats, key in the ignition, everything's manual pretty much. Like the steering wheel adjustment, everything is like, you don't have keyless entry too. So it's a very basic vehicle. It's built similar to what you saw with some old school SUVs from the 2000s. It starts at $70,000, $75,000 now, and tops out at like 100 grand. And so it's not cheap. And so I think that's the thing that people don't realize, is I think they have this nostalgia, which I do too, about these older cars, because, you know, they're more simplistic, more reliable, but they also think, oh, the prices will be like what they were back then. And it's like, no. The problem is, if these automakers build this car today, building it with the more premium materials and all that kind of stuff, it'll end up being as expensive as the new stuff, and in some cases more expensive. So it's coming to the point where I think that people are going to have to realize that the choice they're going to have to make with cars, obviously, you know, the automakers are going to build what they're going to build, but the choice we're going to have to make is, do you want the new features, the modern features, or do you want build quality? Because that's really what it comes down to. You can't really have both in today's world unless you're willing to pay an absurd amount of money, right? A good example is like the new Lexus LX. That's a vehicle that has premium materials, premium build quality, and modern tech, and it's well over $100,000. And that's an SUV that's, you know, roughly the same size as like a Grand Cherokee L, you know, Dodge Durango sized. A little bit smaller than something like a Wagoneer, for example. So the point I'm trying to make is, Ram, I think, has proven, Ineos, right, but the Grenadier has proven that, you know, you can still build a more basic vehicle in today's market, and there are still people that want to buy that. But the problem is, it doesn't really make the vehicle cheap. We have this in our minds, going to make it cheap. That's not the case. So yeah, that's why this truck is still expensive. Is, again, the focus on this is leasing, from my understanding. And then because the older Rams were a little bit less plastic, the new stuff's not bad. It's still pretty well built. But the new stuff is a little bit more focused on the plastic bits and a little bit more on the tech, and less focus on using the some of the heavy duty materials. I mean, you can even tell just like the dial shifter, like just the little dial itself is a more substantial piece than the new stuff. The new stuff's not, it has a nice finish, but like I'm talking about, like you feel like the weight of the piece. And that's what you'll notice with the new stuff versus the old stuff. The new stuff, everything is kind of more hollow and again, just cheaper. So let me know your thoughts on new versus old, and let me know your thoughts on the pricing of these classic Rams. But I think it's time to just completely get rid of the classic and just go all in on the new body style. I mean, come on.